Pizza go! It's a go time! Pizza go! Let's go. Let's go. yeah, Mario time. It's a go time. Mario number one. Woohoo!